folks, welcome back to Board Game Breakfast. Wow, what an exciting time we had last week at the Gamma Trade Show, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that later. I just want to say thank you for all those who followed our tweets. I'd like to put out a huge thank you to the Dice Tower News team. If you're not subscribed at dicetowernews.com, you need to be. Those guys knocked it out of the park. So much news, they said, I'm not even going to be able to cover it all in my news segment. Well, so I guess I better get started. Okay, here we go. First of all, Stoneblade, who makes Ascension, has a new Ascension coming out with champions you can use. Very interesting. But they also announced another game. Ascension is pretty much all they have. Now we have Bad Beats, which is hiding vegetables from your parents and sticking them on a table, feeding them to the dog. A much lighter family-style game. And a crossover I wasn't expecting, Ogre Operation 218. This is from Your Move Games. Your Move Games made a small card game before the Battle for Herald 219, which was just a very good little back and forth card game, which I thought was kind of random, so I played the computer and never won. So now they're mixing it with the Ogre license from Steve Jackson Games. And also I think the game is changing somewhat too. USAopoly has decided to print some money by making the Walking Dead Bang the Dice game. Now, the Walking Dead Bang the Dice game is a pretty good idea because the Bang the Dice game has been extremely popular. Combining it with a very popular brand, Walking Dead, I think this one will sell quite a bit. IDW picked up 2 licenses for the TV show Orphan Black and also for the Godfather movies. So there's lots of cool different things they can do with these licenses. It'd be interesting to see how they work with those. Dimension and other games are coming from Cosmos, or Thames and Cosmos. A lot of different games will be brought over. I've already mentioned this before, but they're done. I've seen the real copies of them. Lost Cities the board game, Kahuna. So these games will be in distribution soon. Asmodee has introduced Asmo Play, which is organized play for many of their games. So you can go play Seven Wonders or things like that now in tournament style. Seven Wonders Duel is coming from Asmodee. Very excited. We got to see the the prototype of that at the Gamma Trade Show. I think that's going to be a very popular game coming later on this year. Fantasy Flight has announced that they have the Star Wars license for the foreseeable future, and that includes the movie coming out this year. There's lots of things coming out. Armada is going to be released, I think, this week. An expansion for the Imperial Assault called Twin Shadows, where you have Boba Fett, C-3PO, lots of great characters coming for that. They've announced the first wave for Armada 2, which will come with the Imperial Star Destroyer. Just so lots of Star Wars goodness. But they also announced Forbidden Stars, which I actually had a chance to play, and I'll be doing a preview of that sometime soon, which is a Warhammer 40,000 style game, but it's a big, grandiose ship combat mixed game. There's a lot of things. I'll quickly say a few things here. Some people said it's very similar to StarCraft. It uses one mechanism from StarCraft. Other than that, it's a very new game with interesting combat. Very, very asymmetrical and amazingly fun. Upper Deck also has announced the next upcoming legendary game, which is Predator, which will be completely compatible with Aliens, so you'll be able to play Predators vs. Aliens, or Humans vs. Aliens, or Predators vs. Humans, your choice. Also, there'll be that new expansion coming out for Marvel Legendary will be based on the current storyline, The Secret Wars. Renegade Studios has announced quite a few games, but one that's interesting is they're bringing back into print Snow Tales. This will basically be the original Snow Tales with some elements from the second one also thrown into it, which was Mush Mush. Yellow has a whole pile of games coming out, including the Big Book of Madness. But they're also reprinting Mexica, an older game that kind of an abstract strategy style game with a slight theme on it, but one that quite a few folks liked.
And here's the question. So you're going to be the first guy to answer, and I'm going to take first. This is discard to draw. I'm going to take 6 questions.
We're playing Spit It Out, by the way.
6 questions you're going to have. Okay. You're going to roll a dice. The 2 numbers that you roll, go ahead, roll them. 1 and 2 have to be correct. The other 4 must be incorrect, but in the spirit of the question. All right.
Got it.
All right. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yes.
Set. What do you find in a library?
Books.
What color is snow?
White.
Name an animal that climbs trees.
Giraffe.
What can you use to get light?
A couch.
What's another word for ridiculous?
Sensible.
Name a prince from a Disney movie.
Eric Summerer.
Okay, so here's what we have here. You've got definitely the 4 incorrect questions in time, but here's the problem. I don't think Eric Summerer is in the vein of a Disney prince. You should have named a princess.
Fair enough.
Right?
I will accept that.
I'm also a little curious about getting light from a couch. That's okay, I think.
Well, I
but-
thought furniture. I think it lamp.
Lamp versus
Okay,
couch.
lamp. I'll accept it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'm good with that. So you would get 5 points. Had you scored them all, you would get 7 points. The bonus of
You get a
plus
bonus.
All right, so you're on your way with a good score.
I want to do a run.
All right.
All right.
They're-
1
wait,
and
these are
1.
double-sided, so I'll
What
just
happens
flip
if you roll
them
the
over.
same number?
That's the only one that you have to get right.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Here we go. Name a horse that was the subject of a movie or TV show.
Black Beauty.
What is the opposite of liquid?
Liquid.
What color is grass?
Yellow.
Name a member of the Rolling Stones.
Michael Jackson.
What is the opposite of west?
West.
Name a plant that smells good.
Stinkweed.
There you go. All right. Okay, I got a problem.
Opposites.
You need to think of something that's actually another word. I can't accept those.
Okay, I also like to say that grass is often yellow.
Yeah.
Oh, grass is often yellow. Yeah,
I'm apparently terrible at this
again,
game.
Again, this is a vote kind of
Eric
thing.
can't lie.
Yeah,
He's too honest. Look
yeah.
at that.
I've heard of yellow grass. Yeah.
Opposite, but the Okay.
No, you have to come up.
You have to come up with something else.
You got to come up with something.
I don't know how I'll do it.
It says that in the
It's very
rules.
tricky on the brain.
Oh, 3 and 5.
All right, here you go.
Okay, go.
3 and 5. Ready?
Yes.
Time him.
Go.
Name a river or lake in the United States.
Mississippi.
Name a brand of computers.
Apple.
What company has published?
Hang on, hang on. We
Wait,
need
am
to
I
stop.
doing this backwards?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start that again.
Let me give you 2 more.
I gotta get the wrong one.
I'm like, he's
and these
giving
are
me the
Those that need the right ones.
Yes.
Okay.
This is
Are you ready?
okay, yes. Wrong.
Wrong
Right.
is on. Only right is
Nail
3 and
gun.
5. All right. On your mark.
Ready,
Got it.
go.
What do you wear so you do not get cold?
Bathing suit.
Who robs banks?
I do.
What company has published this game?
R&R Games.
Who is typically found in a courtroom?
Obama.
What is the opposite of relaxed?
Brown cow.
Where did Tarzan live?
Oh wait, that was.
And we got Tom on the floor rolling over. And that's why I love this game, because you just start laughing your head off.
All right, let's spit it out.
That's spit it out.
We're in the kitchen at Snakes and Lattes to talk about how to snakes food styles. And so we're going to talk to the Director of Operations, Mr. Aaron Zack. Hi, Mr. Zack. How are you?
I'm good, Wayne. How are you?
I'm doing great. Nice kitchen you got here.
Yeah, nice kitchen. But we're actually in the kitchen, Wayne, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
So I need you to do something for me.
What's that?
I need you to put this on.
What? This is humiliating. All right, well, I guess health and safety. So,
It's very important, Wayne. I think having good food is just as important as having good games in this space. You know, you have to make people feel welcome and you have to feed them when they get hungry. It's bistro style, so sandwiches, salads, things like that.
I like sandwiches. They're yummy.
Well, it's going to be different for every cafe and every type of menu you have, but you're going to have the basics. You're going to have, you know, fridges, maybe even microwaves, stoves, sinks, dishwashers, all that kind of stuff.
Sure, but anything that really stands out as necessary beyond the, obvious.
Well, for us, one of our key things is our panini presses, our grills.
Ah, right. For
Maybe-
the sandwiches.
For the sandwich, maybe yours will be a deep fryer. Well, the main things you're looking at, Wayne, are A, what's your overall concept? Where does the idea for your food come from? And you'll be inspired by things around you, the world you grew up in. But also, looking at the games, is it messy? Is it easy to eat? Do you have to look away from your games to grab it? Do you need utensils? Things like that. You want to make it generally as simple as you can. Definitely, Wayne. Things that come to mind right away, some people say soup, chicken wings, maybe sloppy joes. Probably not a good idea to have sloppy joes. They're good, though, Wayne, aren't
All
they?
right, okay. Well, thank you very much much for your time, and I appreciate it. I hope everyone out there learned a little something about food and board games. No chicken wings and no soup. No soup for you.
Okay, first I'm going to show you some cards from the Organized Play for Dice Masters. These are from Avengers Disassembled, which is in my top 10 series of comics from Marvel. Here, She-Hulk. This is a very cheap She-Hulk. She only costs 5 to attack, but she can only attack if your opponent has a character active. So she has a slightly negative thing, but it's still worth it to be able to get her out for a cost of only 5. Hawkeye here, who basically you can knock out one of your Hawkeye dice to deal damage equal to his attack divided any way you choose to your opponent's characters. This is a great way to get rid of a bunch of sidekicks to then let your heavies go through. A very neat card. I suspect this one will be used often. And then Scarlet Witch, who is the cause of Avengers Disassembled. Here, while she's active, all Avenger characters are -2 attack and -3 defense. Crazy. She's a bad guy here, a villain. She's usually not a villain, so this is a neat card to add to a villain deck, especially if you're playing with someone who uses Avengers often. Then we have here the Trinity War. Now, this is the only card I'm going to show you today. Next week, I'll show you some more cards coming from the Trinity War. This one here is one of the basic actions where you can put all the dice in the field zone that are the same as another die in the field zone into their owner's use pile. This is a really neat card because if they have too many cards, too many of one die out there, you can wipe them out. If they just want to keep using the same die over and over and over again, this stops people who use that tactics and rewards if you have a deck that has a lot of different characters. I also thought this would be a good place to show this magazine here, Ravage, which is a tabletop gaming magazine. I don't often get to see magazines here, and this one here is being produced by Cool Mini or Not. Now, of course, Cool Mini or Not being, you're going to see stuff about their games involved, but it's not just about their games. And one of the things I really like is that the quality of the articles that were written in here, I thought were really neat. This article in particular, from this one here, Understanding the Cryptozoic vs. Magic the Gathering Lawsuit, was so well explained. It was so easy to understand. And just, I know that the laws and things behind it are much more complicated, but I really enjoyed that. So, there's reviews, there's even fiction and talking about different board games. Here you can see they're talking about Game of Thrones, the board game. So I really enjoyed this. It's something I'd like to get more copies of, but that's Ravage.
In a world of Catan and Monopoly movies, two men dared to pitch better big screen board games.
This week we wanted to get a little romantic.
With each other?
No. I'm talking about taking a 5-minute game and turning it into a full-length movie.
Oh, you mean Love Letter?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Here's the pitch. In the wake of the Queen's arrest, it's time for Princess Annette, played by Mila Kunis, to get married off. So her father, the king, sets up a letter-writing contest to see who can win the fair maiden's heart.
The movie follows a group of ne'er-do-well hooligan poets battling to win the honor of marrying the princess. Each writes up the sappiest, most heartfelt letter possible.
But there's a twist. The king, played by John Cleese of Monty Python fame, has made getting that letter to the isolated princess the real obstacle. What they soon find out is if they pick the wrong person and their letter gets burned, they get offed too.
One after the other, each would-be suitor gets killed off in escalatingly gruesome ways. Her priest, played by Bill Hader of SNL fame, tosses one letter. The writer gets tossed into the moat. The Baron, portrayed by Ken Jeong from Community, tears another suitor's letters to shreds before his dogs get the would-be Romeo.
Eventually, the last man standing, James Franco of The Interview, learns the key to the princess's heart is through her best friend, the Countess, perfectly portrayed here by Melissa McCarthy. But what he doesn't know is that the Countess is ultra-protective over the princess. It all leads to a show-stopping final battle before the princess steps in and makes her final decision.
So will she choose her best friend, or will the handsome guy get the girl? Who knows, but hopefully this flick's a winner at the box office.
Here's the tagline: Love Letter. The easy part is writing it.
Is this a movie you'd like to see?
Would you cast it differently?
Let us know in the comments below. Until our next board game pitch, this is Sean.
And Alex, and we're the Dukes of Dice.
productions this week, it's all about the Gamer Trade Show that we went to last week. You're going to see a lot of videos that we recorded. We recorded at least 30. I don't know how many more than 30. We just interviewed lots and lots of folks there and talked about their upcoming games, got shots of different games. We have a podcast that's going up on Dice Tower tomorrow on Tuesday, which will have all different things that we did and saw there. We recorded it live at the show itself. So lots of interesting things. There will be a live question and answer with me today. We'll make that at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have any questions about Gamer Trade Show or whatever you want, I'll answer those there, and maybe some more stuff. And we'll have some sprinkling of reviews throughout the week, but it's going to be mostly lots of news and things to look forward to. And so you can find out all the rest of it. Oh, and the Dice Tower website will be launched next weekend. Okay, that's a big deal for us. I will tweet it. I will Facebook it. I will put it on Board Game Geek. We will announce it everywhere we can. But watch for that. We'll be launching it. I hope you like it.
Chaz Marler of Pair of Dice Paradise here, and as a self-proclaimed online board game broadcasting personality, I enjoy spending my spare time playing board games, talking about them, watching and reading industry news and reviews, and reading the comments posted by people in response to various video reviewers. And yet, I somehow still find the time to keep my hardwood floors spotless. As I've started to absorb more online board game related content as entertainment, I've noticed myself frequently being drawn towards reviews of games with poor ratings. For me, negative reviews are more of a morbid fascination. But my curiosity towards these televised train wrecks got me wondering if negative reviews generally garner more attention than positive ones. And so, I set up an experiment. 3 months ago, I created a series of 6 videos, all similar in length, content, title, and even thumbnail image. The difference being that 3 of the videos were positive reviews, and the other 3 were negative ones. Now the goal was to find out if the negative set of videos lured in more views, thumbs up, and feedback than the positive ones. Now, keep in mind that in the world of board game broadcasting, I'm just a small, insignificant nobody with impeccable hardwood floors. So, the data set that I collected is pretty small. Well, 3 months after being posted on YouTube, the negative videos had generated a combined 2,547 views, 63 thumbs up, and 10 comments. In comparison, the positive videos had a combined 2,985 views, 75 thumbs up, and 17 comments. Contrary to my expectations, the YouTube audience actually gravitated towards the positive reviews. Hooray! But YouTube is a broad audience. What happened when those same videos were posted on BoardGameGeek.com? By comparison, on BGG.com, the negative reviews received a combined 20 thumbs up and 15 comments, while the positive ones received 27 thumbs, but 0 comments. So does this mean that an audience that's more focused on the hobby is actually more likely to become preoccupied with negative comments about it, either out of a morbid curiosity or in order to defend it? And therefore, could a broader audience, like YouTube, actually be a healthier environment for discussion? It would be interesting to compare YouTube comments on this topic with Board Game Geek comments to see if there is indeed this difference in opinion and approach between the comparatively broad and niche audiences.
So it's time to talk some more about expansions. My favorite expansions. I made my top 100. We're almost finished with the first fourth of that list, so let's get right into that. The first one I want to talk today about is Carcassonne the Tower. Now, one of the reasons I like Carcassonne the Tower is because it comes with a physical tower in which you can put all the tiles. Well, in which you can put most of the tiles anyway. If you have everything like I do, eventually you run out of room for that. But I mean, any normal sane person covers that. And that's a really neat thing. It's easier than, I think, pulling them out of the bag. It has a really cool look to it. But it also introduces towers that can be placed in the board. And as you place these towers, you can pull other people's meeples off the board and basically destroy them. It's very interactive, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's many people's least favorite expansion, but I really enjoy it. That's Carcassonne the Tower. Then we have Catan, Explorers and Pirates. Now, Explorers and Pirates is the fourth big expansion for the Settlers of Catan. There was 3 before that, but this one added a whole bunch of scenarios in which you're going around and shipping things and dropping things off, and it added pirates then. And basically, though, the game was just variations on a whole pickup and delivery mechanism where it had a lot of ideas similar to Seafarers, which came out for Catan, where you went around and explored, but then you also picked up things and delivered them. And all the different variations in it were kind of variations on that same theme, and I enjoyed it because it brought a fresh face to Catan. It makes Catan, gives us some of the same basic mechanisms, trading and things, but it feels very different almost than all the rest other than cities, but this one I actually enjoyed. Then we have Rattus Africanus. This is the expansion for this game, and I just really enjoyed. I mean, the idea of having rats take over the world and the Black Plague and stuff is kind of a gruesome theme, but it was always kind of abstracted. But what this game did is it added another section and made it easier to add another player, but more importantly, added a lot of variety. I like expansions that add variety to the base game. This one had a whole new subset of characters, more characters that you could use, and so it just felt like the game was very different all the time. Then we have Core Worlds Revolution. This was the second expansion for the deck builder, Core Worlds. Revolution wasn't as big as the first one, but one of the things Revolution did was it took the heroes in Core Worlds and made them just so distinct and useful. They came with their own little deck of cards and their own tactics. And because of that, it differentiated the starting factions quite a bit. But also when a hero showed up, you seriously thought about getting that hero so that you could use them and add them and do different cool things with them and gave them personalities to the game. It added a few other minor things, but I mean, I would have called this Core Worlds Heroes myself because that's what it basically is. And then last one today is the smallest expansion of the 5 I'm talking about, and that's Lords of Vegas Up. Yeah, this is really small. It just basically let you play the game Lords of Vegas, and instead of spreading out horizontally and vertically, you can now spread out up. This very simple change, taking it from a 2-dimensional to a 3-dimensional game, allowed more players to play the game, allowed you to do all sorts of interesting things. You can try to build a tall tower or spread out. I felt like it just was a minor thing, but just allowed so many more options and allowed 2 more players to be at it without feeling overwhelming. So that's Up.
Hi kids, this is Cody with the Discriminating Gamer. So I recently went to my very first board game convention, SaltCon, here in Utah. And I gotta tell you, it was fantastic. I had so much fun playing all sorts of new games. I got to meet brand new friends, and I met a lot of friends I had only known from online that I got to meet face to face. A lot of people even recognized me from Board Game Breakfast. There are so many great conventions out there. I want to go to another one. The problem is, my name isn't Rockefeller. I'm a humble educator. I don't have a lot of money, so I may have to pick and choose which ones I can go to. So I've got a couple of questions for you this week. For those of you who haven't been to a board game convention, which one do you want to go to most, and why do you want to go to that convention? What is it about that particular convention you think it makes it worth your while? And also, for those of you who have attended many conventions, or even a few conventions, which ones are your favorite, and why? Let me know, and maybe I'll get a chance to go to one of these conventions later on. So thanks again for tuning in, and I guess the watchword for today's episode is something that the great William Shatner once told us. Con! Please somebody help me on my feet again.
Hi, Suzanne here with this week's featured board game app. In a unique move, Doodle City released its app version at the same time the game was being released in Essen in 2014. This gave players a chance to try the game when normally it will take months for Essen releases to kind of spread worldwide. Well, now the game is becoming more widely available globally, so let's take a quick look at the app version. Doodle City is a light puzzle and dice drafting game in which you want to maximize how you connect locations by drawing roads. Dice determine which spots are available to a player to activate, white dice for the rows and a blue die for the columns. And when you get stuck with no available action, you get pollution. Each location type scores a bit differently, making timing of activations matter. There are 3 endgame triggers: if someone marks off the highest hotel or shop bonus, or if someone has to mark off their last tree, and of course the person with the most points wins. Developed in-house by Aporta Games, Doodle City is a fine app package. The rules are laid out well in the short rules section, and there's an in-game tutorial that pops up during key points during your first play. The graphics are simple, but there's a feature that lets you switch between a 3D view and a flat view, which is kind of fun. Although I do wish you could turn off some of the camera movement that slows down play. The paper version of the game has a clever way to randomize the board each game, but of course, here the app does it for you. There's no AI because the solo play is essentially just a min-max puzzle, but there is pass and play and online play via Game Center. I like playing this solo, kind of figuring out which is the best possible path, but I do think this game shines when you add the dice drafting, playing against others. I wouldn't mind if there was an AI that let you play with the dice drafting elements solo. The app is currently on iOS only, but they are looking for Android beta testers, indicating the app should release for that platform in the future. So if you're in the mood for a light puzzly game, I recommend you give Doodle City a try.
Well, I spent the entire last week at the GAMA Trade Show in Las Vegas. Now, the GAMA Trade Show is a show in which distributors are going to, publishers, manufacturers, and most importantly, the game store owners go to this. I believe there was several hundred game store owners were coming to this place. They show up and they sit down and they listen to seminars about from the different publishers. They go around like a little convention room and talk, and they order product from the companies. They talk to distributors. There's lots of different things going on. And we were very fortunate to be able to be there, to work with GAMA, to talk to all these different people. And I thought I would talk a little bit about some of the trends that I'm seeing in the hobby at this point in time, as evidenced by this show. I always tell people that I think that this show is the beginning of the game season. I always feel like the game season starts with the GAMA Trade Show, and that it goes until Essen, and then we have a few months off where we're busy playing all those games during Christmas in January and February. So because from here on out, it's boom, boom. I mean, Origins around the corner, and then we got Gen Con and Essen, so many games. But here is the beginning of all that. And I think if you are a store owner, you really seriously, definitely should consider going to the GAMA Trade Show. If you're a publisher, I think the same thing. I don't think that you have to, but I think all the companies that do go have a leg up on the ones who do not. So some of the things I noticed. First of all, the entire feel that I got from everybody was just very positive. There was a very cheerful atmosphere. Everyone seemed to have very clear goals and what they wanted. There was one glaring negative that people were feeling, and this was mostly coming from retailers, and that is distribution problems that many of the manufacturers and distributors are having. Much of that is tied up in the West Coast port delays, but that's not the only thing that causes this, because there's just so many games and so many problems. So that would be the one thing that people seem to be concerned about and came up in different things. There's also one of the things I'm noticing is more cross-licensing. Now, this is mostly, at this point in time, Steve Jackson putting Munchkin in many different games, and as I mentioned earlier in the news, Ogre being mixed with a game. But other companies, we're seeing co-branding, companies working together, and it's very interesting as the companies are starting to make like strategic alliances. I feel like I'm part of a board game myself. Fantasy Flight themselves are just a juggernaut. I was able to go to the different rooms when people were announcing their games. In Fantasy Flight, I had to squeeze to get into that room, while many of the other publishers, there was plenty of space. There was just there's so much going on. There's so many. They had the Star Wars thing they have itself seems to be becoming a very profitable thing for most of the retailers, for them selling X-Wing and Armada, Imperial Assault. And Imperial Assault is one of the best, they said was their biggest seller ever. I mean, that's mind-boggling, and just they were very professional, very neat to see where the future of that company is going. And it looks like their merger with Asmodee is only going to help this. Those who are worried that they were going to turn it to some Eurogame company, that's certainly not looking to be the case. We're starting to see a lot of companies bringing things to America themselves rather than licensing it. Back in the good old days, 20 years ago, Rio Grande Games was the only company bringing these games in. Then as years went by, we saw Mayfair and we saw Z-Man and we saw other companies pick up these games and bring them in, but now the companies are coming directly. We're seeing Cosmos, we're seeing Portal, we saw a company that's bringing in Drymagier games, and we see Haba coming in, and Zoc. And that's, to me, that's really exciting because it means that the gaming market here in America is very viable, and these games are great, and this is especially great for those of us who love children's games because they're coming in. As for trends in the industry, well, we're still seeing a little bit of everything, and we still saw a couple of those clueless publishers there, which boggles my mind that they show up with a game and they haven't seen or heard of anything or anybody, and they don't know what they're doing. For the most part, I saw a lot less of that, but trends overall, we're definitely seeing a trend towards lighter family games. Almost every company had something in that regard, light family style. I, for one, am thrilled about this because for a while there, I was worried that we were getting too many of these super heavy games, which heavy games are great and have their place, but these lighter family ones are the ones I can play with people. And Yellow and Asmodee, and I mentioned even earlier Stoneblade, all these different companies have a lot of these games out there. That also, I was completely wrong last year when I said that the micro game thing was a fad for last year only. It may be a fad, but it's lasting longer than 2014. We are definitely seeing micro games continue. Many companies talked about them. I mean, I'm even taking the love letter juggernaut out of the equation. We are seeing a lot of different micro games being made by people. It's the in thing to do. I think every company has at least one. And so that's basically it. Oh, and distribution, we're seeing less exclusivity with that. Not every company is tied to one publisher now, or distributor, which makes everybody happy, I think, except for the distributor who had them. So that's some interesting things all around. It was, like I said, a lot of fun to see that. We worked really hard, and we hope you enjoy our coverage of that this week. Almost done with the show, folks. Over to you, Jared.
It is a truth, universally acknowledged, that any board game player in possession of a good collection must be in want of appropriately thematic games. So, last time we talked about Sir Terry Pratchett and his passing and the Discworld universe he created and games that have attempted to capture the spirit of his novels. There are three options to play in the Discworld series. There's Ankh-Morpork, which is a very heavy Euro. There's The Witches, which is a very light kind of juvenile game. And then there is Guards, which is absolutely terrible. See, Discworld is silly, but it's also smart. And above all, it is preeminently British. So to whomever wants to design the next Discworld game, let me suggest to you what your model should be. It's a game called Marrying Mr. Darcy. A Kickstarter success story, Marrying Mr. Darcy is a role-playing game where everyone plays one of the female characters from Jane Austen's novel Pride and Prejudice. Players work to improve themselves and become more desirable to potential suitors. Then it ends with this proposal phase with a fun push-your-luck mechanic. The winner is the one who ends with the most satisfying life. The gameplay is fast. Every turn you flip over a card and some random event happens. It might affect you or it might affect everyone at the table, which is something that minimizes the amount of downtime and increases the speed and the pace of the play. The whimsical tone of Miss Austen's novel comes through beautifully as you and your competitors go to different dances and other social engagements. Unlike with Guards, there isn't so much flavor text that the theme actually becomes boring. Therein lies this game's success. So why is it so easy for some random fan on Kickstarter to design the perfect Jane Austen board game, but it's so difficult for professionals at an actual board game company to design the perfect Discworld game? The answer is intellectual property. Pride and Prejudice is in the public domain, meaning anybody can do anything with it, even if what you do with that is kind of stupid. So that gives the Kickstarter public a lot more latitude. And if you do like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, don't worry, they already have an expansion for that.
And And that's it for this time, folks. Thanks so much for watching Board Game Breakfast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy watching the different things we put out this week. I got to meet several of you who work in the industry at the GAMA trade show, but there will be more of that coming up in the future. Thanks again, everybody. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at coolstuffinc.com.